All right, so my one correction to make is the transversal for number one is BC. It's not AB. I don't know why I wrote AB. It's BC. So does anyone have questions about any of the problems on this worksheet? Yes, Sophia.
Part D is
D of which one?
number one.
Okay, so it says what types of angles are 4 and 5? So here's 4 and 5. The first thing you have to do is figure out where the transversal is. And the transversal touches both of these angles. It's the side of both of the angles. So I can see that my transversal is here. Okay, 4 and 5. These are the lines that are intersected. These are both inside those two lines and on opposite sides of the transversal, therefore they're alternate interior angles. What's that? You get it? Okay, what else can I help you guys with?
I have a question on the very last question, B.
B?
Yeah, B and C, but I feel like I know how to do B.
Okay, so you knew how to do letter A, how many pairs of angles form?
Yeah.
Okay, and then part B says, if one of these pairs is chosen at random, what's the probability the angles will be alternate interior angles or exterior angles? So you have to count the pairs that are in alternate interior or alternate exterior. So if you look at this picture, here's one set. Here's two sets, those are both exterior angles. Here's 3 sets. Here's 4 sets. So 4 out of 28. 4 angles out of 28 pairs are alternate angles. Okay, in this case, 16 pairs in that picture are supplementary. Okay. Okay, so watch this. I'm gonna number them. So now let's look. I've got, let's look first at angle 1 and list all the angles that are supplementary to 1. I have 1 and 2, right? Okay, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 5, 1 and 7. That's so far. 1 and 5. These are supplementary. 1 and 7. 7 is congruent to 5. Okay. So now those are the ones supplementary to angle 1. Let's look at 2. I'm not going to list anything I've listed already as a pair. So of course, angle 2 and 1 are supplementary, but I already said that. So now I have angle 2 and angle 4, right? Angle 2 and angle 6, angle 2 and angle 8, right? Okay, now let's look at angle 3. Angle 3 and angle 1, I already said. Angle 3 and angle 4, I did not. Angle 3 and angle 6, angle 3 and angle 8, right? Okay, let's look at angle 4. I already said 4 and 2, 4 and 3. I did not say 4 and 5. I did not say 4 and 7, right? Okay. Then I have angle 5, angle 5 and angle 6, angle 5 and angle 8. I already said 5 with 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Then I have angle 6 and angle 7. And that's it. Then I have angle 7 and angle 8. And I believe that's it. Let's count. I wrote them all in the Math Resource Center this morning. I might have missed one. I have 4 plus 3 is 7, plus another 3 is 10, 16. Okay, so the only good way to do that is sit there and count them. Okay, so 16 out of 28. Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Is there gonna be something like this on the test?
I'm in the middle of writing the test. So I can't say definitively yes or no. I think it's a good skill to have. It's not top on my list. Okay. Anything else on this worksheet? Okay. So today we're going to talk about parallel lines proofs. I put guided notes out there for you, and I have a warm-up for you to do. In this warm-up, you need to list all the pairs of corresponding angles you can find, alternate interior angles you can find, all those different types of pairs. I only want you to look at the angles that are numbered, okay? So do that. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to list as many as you can find. There's a lot of them there. Ready, go. Doesn't matter if it's parallel or not. It makes a difference in whether the angles are congruent or not, but it doesn't matter in terms of corresponding alternate interior, et cetera. It's different for every single pair that you use. The one that's the transversal is the one that shares a side with the angles. Find them all, Chip? It's a lot there. About a minute left. Okay. So these are the pairs that I found. So why don't we go kind of slowly through this, look at the sets of corresponding angles that I found. Did anyone not have something that I had or have something extra? Kevin, if you can't see, you please sit closer.
I'm Kevin.
I said, I didn't say Kevin.
Is it Calvin?
My bad. This always happens with people with the VIN.
Well, part of it is with the mask too is a problem. Sophia, did you have a question? What about 4 and 11, you said were corresponding? Okay, so 4 and 11 are not corresponding, and let me show you why. If I extend this line and that line. For 11, if I wanted to find the angle that's corresponding to that, it would be over here. Right? But angle 4 is only part of that angle. Okay, so 4 and 11 are not corresponding angles. Okay. Anything else I need to talk about there? Okay. Let's look at alternate interior angles. Did anyone have anything there that I don't, or not have one of mine and have a question about it?
Oh,
3 and 9. So here's 3, here's 9. Sometimes it makes it easier if you draw a picture like that. Both inside and on opposite sides of the transversal, alternate interior angles.
How's 6 and 11?
How is 6 and 11? Okay, so watch.
Oh, wait, no, I do see it. I do see it.
Yeah, my transversal line. Inside,
Wait, so that one 10 and forward?
10 and 4 would not work because of the same reason with the corresponding. Watch. And that angle are alternate interior angles, but 4 is only part of that angle. Right?
Oh,
Okay. Anything else on this? They're all over the place. It took me quite a while to list all of them. And this is kind of confusing because 4 is only part of it, doesn't go all the way out. That line doesn't winding this next one. Any questions? Did anybody get all of them? No?
I got everything and then I missed 3 and 9. And then I didn't get to the linear pairs.
Okay.
I got all the verbal angles.
Oh, that's good. Okay. All right, so now today we are going to do some good old fashioned 2-column parallel line proofs that they do in any other geometry class. So we're gonna work on that. Sorry,
For some reason, I'm not even allowed to open up the events, not all on the.
I know because we're not in EMF right now,
Oh,
and because I locked you guys all into notability. You just didn't know. Okay,
We actually don't do it. That's fine.
can you keep that up for a second?
sure.
You'll have to do it for 5 minutes. I can actually want to take a picture of that too. No, you can't. You can't
No,
use
you
it down
can't.
here to show someone.
I'll take a picture.
But you can take a photo on notability.
Wait, you can? Okay.
Line to come out.
Yeah, notability, just add a picture.
Disabled by notability.
So, yeah,
Your camera's disabled and notability.
Oh, well,
Wow.
I post this online and school at the
Oh,
same
okay.
time.
With the notes, with the annotations.
Yeah.
Then I'll look at that later.
It's under, like, if you click on notes,
It's just I don't want to bring it down. I just want to write it down on my notebook.
so.
Good job, Ann.
All right, so there are theorems we talked about yesterday regarding parallel lines. I want to remind you of them because we're going to use them today in our parallel lines proofs. So lines are parallel if and only if corresponding angles are congruent. There's that squeaking again. Alternate interior angles are congruent, alternate exterior angles are congruent, same side interior angles are supplementary, same side exterior angles are supplementary. Now, you know, with an if, when it's if and only if, it means it's true from hypothesis to conclusion and conclusion to hypothesis, right? It's not good.
Considering that that's, but I don't think it's, I think it's going next to yours.
All right, much better. Okay. So that means I can word these both directions, and I will do so in my proofs, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. There are some more theorems that we use in parallel lines proofs typically. Exercise 189 is one of those theorems. If lines are parallel to the same line, then they're parallel to each other. As we write our reasons in our two-column proofs, we are not going to write exercise 189. We are going to write it out. Exercise 191 says if a line is perpendicular to one or two parallel lines, then it's perpendicular to the other. So this is really the transitive property of parallel lines. This, we talked about exercise 191. I think I'm going to draw it just for fun. If a line is perpendicular to two other lines, then I know that these lines are parallel to each other. Does everyone see how that works? Okay.
They both perpendicular to the same.
If they're both perpendicular to the same line and parallel to each other. Okay, now two more that we really haven't talked about, but do make a lot of sense. This one says two angles are congruent if and only if they are supplementary to the same or congruent angles. So let me just draw you a picture of what that means. So if I tell you that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and I know that angle 1 is supplementary to angle 3. If these two are supplementary, and I know these are congruent, then angle 2 must also be supplementary to angle 3. Doesn't that make sense? And that works the same with complementary angles as well. I know I have two angles complementary to the same angle, then they're congruent to each other. Okay, and vice versa. So as we write two-column proofs, we're going to have very specific reasons in the statement column, and we're going to have general reasons for the statements. And they can be theorems, they can be definitions, and they can be properties, not much else. Okay. The reasons link the proofs, link the statements together by if-then statements. So we're going to try a proof and you'll see what I mean by linking together. I will call your attention to it. So in this problem, I know that A is parallel to B. One thing I always do at the very beginning is I mark my diagram. So I know that A is parallel to B. And I know angle 1 is congruent to angle 13. I'd like to prove that C is parallel to D. Now, do you see that angle 1 and angle 13 do not share a common transversal? There's no line that has both sides included in it, right? So these two particular angles are nothing regarding alternate interior, exterior, etc. Okay. So the goal right now is to find an angle that must be congruent to angle 1. that we can then say therefore must be congruent to angle 13. So let's do something here. You see angle 1 right here? Can somebody give me an angle that is congruent to angle 1 because A is parallel to B? Kevin?
7.
Three.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 1 and 7 are congruent, the vertical angles. I'm looking for one over here.
Oh, okay. Up 3.
So 1 and 3 are congruent.
Be 3 or 5, 5 goes.
One, five would also work. There's lots of ways to do this.
Wait,
Everything
how
but
about
one
seven
number.
didn't work?
7 works,
Seven-
but it's not on B.
7 does work, but you'll see why I'm really looking for an angle over here. By the way, I need to ask a question. Kevin, which angle did you say 3? Okay, I agree with you. Right. Could I have said angle 1 was congruent to any of the angles down here?
9, 15, 9, 15.
Wait a minute, Sophia, why?
No, because you don't know that C and D are parallel.
Correct.
That's
I
Well,
can't
but-
make, if I don't know C and D are parallel,
Wait, but-
that's what I'm trying to prove.
If 1 and 13 are the same, 13 and 11 are the same, 11 and 9 would be the same. And that means 9 and 15 are the same, which means 9 and 1 are the same.
Yes, and there's lots of ways to do it.
But is that what we're proving?
Okay, so that is a longer path to the same answer, not wrong. Okay, so let's finish this way and then we'll talk about multiple other ways that this can be done, okay? So for right now, can we all agree that angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent? Yes. Okay, what kinds of angles are angle 3 and 13? They appear to be obtuse, they aren't necessarily. They are alternate exterior angles. And look at, I know angle 3 is congruent to angle 13, right? Because 1 is congruent to 13 and 1 is congruent to 3. Once I know alternate exterior angles are congruent, then I can conclude that these lines are parallel. So that's the path I'm gonna take. So we're gonna have 2 columns.
Proof by T chart.
So I'm gonna start with the fact that I know A is parallel to B. Why I wrote 2, I do not know. Now, I could write all the givens at the very beginning of my proof. I don't tend to do that because the goal really, you don't realize this as you're writing 2-column proofs, but the goal is to write paragraph proofs. We're not doing that this year, but that's the goal. So you want to say things in a way that it flows. But once I know that A is parallel to B, I was able to say that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, right? So that's what I'm going to do next. And the reason there is because if lines are parallel, then corresponding angles are congruent. Now, this is what I mean by linking. The if part has to have come first. The then part must match what you are saying in your statement. If it does not, you are not making sense. So if I say then corresponding angles are congruent and somewhere here I say lines are parallel, that doesn't make sense. It's not making a good argument. This statement, this reason links these 2 statements together. Okay. Now that I've gotten there,
Wait, that's 5.
what's that? If
If
lines are
parallel, then corresponding
angles.
angle, all that, okay.
Now, the next thing I'd like to do is say that angle 1 is also congruent to angle 13. And the reason for that is what? Sorry?
Angle 1. Oh wait, your exterior
It's
angle.
given.
No,
It's given.
no, oh yeah, it's given. Thank you. I was getting on to the next step already. It is given. Angle 3 is congruent to angle 13. There is the one I was thinking I was asking about.
And also my ass.
I trust because they're the wrong long process.
How do I know? What reason do I give? That angle 3 is congruent to angle 13.
Because angle 1 is.
Wait, don't talk, raise your hand.
Oh,
Kevin,
Because they're alternate exterior angles.
that's not why.
Shoot.
Now, but I am also very glad you said that, because I want to come back over here a second.
Because in the,
I want you to look at angle 5 and angle 12 here. Here's 5 and here's 12. They are alternate exterior angles,
Okay.
right? But they're not congruent. Why are they not congruent?
Because there's another line thing.
Because these lines aren't what?
Parallel.
They're not parallel.
But if they are parallel, then it didn't work.
Then it would work. But here's the thing. We are trying to prove that C and D are parallel.
Oh, so you don't know that yet.
So we cannot say if lines are parallel, alternate exterior angles are congruent. That's absolutely true. But I don't know C and D are parallel yet. Kevin?
Isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a
Let's go.
transitive property.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Please stop that.
Yeah, I did, bro.
size of it.
Good job, Sal.
So this is the transitive property. 1 is congruent to 3. Wait, 3 is congruent to 1, 1 is congruent to 13, 3 is congruent to 13, transitive property. Now that I have that, I can say C is parallel to D. And the reason for that is if alternate exterior angles are congruent, then lines are parallel. And again, we're linking things together. If alternate exterior angles are congruent, there they are, came before that, then lines are parallel. This must match the statement, otherwise you are not making sense. Andy, stop. Okay, any questions on this one? Okay. I said try this, but you guys, we're gonna do this one together because we're gonna use a theorem we have not used yet. Okay, and I'm gonna show you how to use it. So let's take a look at it. I know that 1 and 2 are supplementary, and by the way, it's not on the scale. Just because something looks obtuse doesn't mean it is, just because something looks acute doesn't mean it is.
So the angle like measure tries to prove it, kind of like.
Yeah. You can assume orientation, you can assume a straight line, you can't assume much else. So 1 is supplementary to 2, 3 is supplementary to 2. Based on those two facts, what could you tell me? Right, raise your hand. What?
3 is converted.
3 and 1 are congruent, and that came from one of those theorems that we talked about. And as I look at this,
Does that mean 2 is the thing as, an angle, like, an angle on top?
it does mean QT and RS are parallel, because what kinds of angles are these?
Interior.
No,
Same side interior.
no,
Corresponding.
yes,
That's right.
look at. They are both above the lines on the same side of the transversal. So 1 is going to be angle 1 is supplementary to angle 2. And by the way, you must number your statements. That's given. Statement 2, angle 3 is supplementary to angle 2. That's given. And because of that, we knew that angle 1 was congruent to angle 3. And the reason is if angles are supplementary to the same angle, then they are congruent. And we're linking things up. And yes, I know this theorem is an if and only if kind of theorem, but I'm writing it in if then form as it makes sense in my proof. Okay, so then congruent, I better be saying something's congruent there, otherwise I'm not making sense. The part that came before, angles are supplementary to the same angle. I better have said that before this, otherwise I am not making sense. Yes,
Are we gonna have to do proof by contradiction?
not now.
Okay.
Okay,
So we do have proof summary tests.
yes.
No.
So next, I know angle 3 is congruent to angle 1. Therefore, I know that QT is parallel to RS. Why? If corresponding angles are congruent, then lines are parallel. And we are done. And you can see how the if-then statement looks up your statements. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down on this. Okay, I have one for you to try.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I want you guys to try this one here. And there's lots of ways to do it. Then get out a piece of paper. It can help you, yeah, if I can figure it out.
Wait, sorry. 8 and 16 are equal.
Oh, okay, then sit here.
Okay, both of these are given.
No, is it 8, 16?
Do that paper right now.
The 8 and 16 are. On here.
We keep choosing.
What?
So last time I made the mistake of saying like the alternate exterior angles, but this time I can say it, right, because they're parallel.
We don't know C's parallel to D.
This time you can say it because it's parallel.
So I can do basically just
Andrew ain't no champ. Yeah, no.
Andrew. Andrew.
Alright, can we say 8 and 16?
Yeah, 8 and 16 are perfectly good because they're.
Okay, Andy, you're going to just turn it off and turn it on, because I think there's something going on in general with your iPad. Turn it off and turn it on, okay?
Oh, we're.
Wait, so we're in this, we're in 8, 16.
Okay, so
16, not 14. 14 was 14. we're not getting that. So 16.
okay, well then we could say 8 and 4 because they're alternate.
Or no, wait, no,
Then
they're,
we could say 4.
oh, no, they're same side.
And then we can change it after that.
Same side,
So,
exterior. They're same side, exterior.
man, I can organize my thoughts. Okay, 3.
Start by yourself.
What does corresponding angle mean again?
Ben champ.
Corresponding angles means they are in corresponding locations, so both above the 2 lines and to one side of the transverse.
Oh, yeah. That
So
makes
that's what I thought.
Wait, 8 and 16 are not corresponding with what? Wait, 8 and, no. You're right. 16 and 14 are corresponding.
Yes.
Wait, you said about 8 and 14. 8 and 14 don't share a line.
Ouch.
I did 8.
Yeah, they don't share lines.
Let's go. I did it.
I wouldn't say you did, but yeah, sure.
Kevin did it.
I'll do that.
It's not.
It's good to know.
It's given that Kevin did it.
If you like, if you like this, it's just. I'll do this.
We have to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, so that if 16 is congruent, oh, that means 8 is congruent to 14.
Did I do it right?
Wait, no, 8 is not.
There's
congruent
lots
to
of
14.
ways to do it.
Wait, let's go. Transitive, that's not congruent.
Yeah, why'd you say true? Hey, is he good?
If you write this on your quiz, I'm gonna have to wrong. If lines are parallel, it needs to be, if not, I'm even done reading it at that point.
Oh, goodness.
Wait, what'd she just say? What'd she say?
You feel you have to write
We have
it.
permission to have an iPad, guys.
So let's go.
Let's go. I got a notification from Bleacher Report.
Bleacher Report?
Was it about Kyrie?
No.
Chip, is it Bleacher Report's
It's
basic
baseball.
you are on tennis? You're only a 2-star recruit.
Huh? What?
At least you're not a 1-star recruit.
I'm not 0 star.
At least you're not a 1-star.
Alex, well, I'm not- What about that? Yeah.
That was like
Wait, what did she say? If you mark wrong on a test?
a corresponding, it's already parallel, it's parallel to its corresponding.
Okay, but there's lots of
You're
ways
at
to do it, right?
Yeah.
A is for parallel to B, is parallel to
If
C.
parallel, if on the same line, it's corresponding. Wait,
No, you have to write A is parallel to B, that's given. You write C is parallel to D, that's also given. So write that.
Because they're.
We did.
And then 4 and 14 are. all-
yes,
We need to write it if the,
if the same,
If C, D.
wait, what did you just write? If what?
I said if lines are parallel, then corresponding.
You write if A is parallel
Just gotta
to
remember the properties of different.
B.
Are parallel, then what?
I'm coming, John, just a second.
Just don't think. it's just
Corresponding.
No, I think you're thinking too much. Just
I think so too. I think you're thinking too much. Just a minute.
Well, there are many ways to do it. It's just my way was, I just used the same thing twice and then transitive it. Because transitive is the verb. Yeah, these are a lot of different ways, like,
Any other kind of stuff?
like, I don't know.
Any other kind of stuff that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you can be corresponding to, so like 8 and 6 are corresponding into 6 and 14 are corresponding to
Yeah.
8 and 14. Yeah, I did
No.
alternate it.
Just because they're corresponding doesn't mean they're. You have to write it out. Okay.
If you take a screenshot, I'm gonna take the ruler. there's no line up with a guideline. Wait, I just do this.
Yes, yes, yes. I used to do this. I'm
All
like,
right, well, okay, so you gotta pick up that. How you
I
gonna
have
do
this ruler on my exercise, I don't get.
like, yeah, we're winding up this shot.
How much you doing? Line up the
They're
steps.
always the same amount of steps, it's just mine repeats the same steps twice, which is, well, they all do actually.
I don't know, like, I feel like the opposite.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, 8 and 4 on diagonals, 4 and 14 are diagonals, therefore 8 and 14. Yeah. It's just weird to write it down. Because words are.
There is a transitive property here.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Hard that you're doing a good stuff.
Takes the worst parts of math and defines it. It makes
Those are too hard.
They are. So is Remember when I retired, people had different answers because we all added the things wrong.
You're right.
Yeah.
Let me show you how I did it. There's a lot of ways to do it.
Is there 5 ways?
There,
Like,
there are probably
No,
more than
five
5
steps,
ways.
5 steps.
I had 5 steps.
You could probably have more than 5 steps. It just depends. I had 5 steps.
Or you can go in a complete circle.
You can. Okay, mine had 5 steps. Wait, this isn't it, is it? Oh, yes, it is. So A is parallel to B. I knew that 8 was congruent to 4. Because these are alternate exterior angles. And notice I wrote it right after I said A was parallel to B. I needed to know that A was parallel to B in order to say that. C is parallel to D, therefore I know that 4 is congruent to 13. And therefore, using the transitive property, I can say 8 is congruent to 14. Now, here's the goal when you're doing this. If you want to say 8 is congruent to 14, what you need to do is find an angle that's congruent to 8 because of the parallel lines that is also congruent to 14 using the other set of parallel lines.
I don't know if that's a typo, but you put angle 13 as.
3,
Well-
4, 14, I think it was. I think I wrote it wrong.
But then 14 isn't corresponding to 4.
Hold
is
on a
it?
minute, let me see.
So-
So I've got 8:4. That's alternate exterior angles. Then I said 4 was to,
See, this
Yeah,
is looking
that's
like
wrong.
mine. 4 is. the
4
horizontal.
is to 14 is
Alternate exterior.
alternate exterior. Yep.
Instead corresponding, yeah.
Yeah.
We just want the easy.
So that's
ones.
exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Now you can do both corresponding with
Yep.
8 and 6, 6 and 14 transitive, but
So again, lots of ways to do it. 4 is congruent to 14. Your goal is to link these two together. Find an angle that's congruent to angle 8 using either C and D or A and B. That also must be congruent to angle 14 using the other set of parallel lines. Yeah,
another thing is I just threw both the given statements at the beginning.
That's okay.
Okay.
that's okay. It's not wrong. It's only wrong if you make a statement and you use in your if part, something that comes after what you said.
Okay.
John, fix your mask, please. Okay, so what I did was I put out practice proofs for you guys. That is your homework for today. Because I'm recording the class for a few other people that are absent today in other classes. So if you go into Schoology, you will find that I have parallel lines proof homework right there. So practice your proofs, okay?
Actually, these aren't too bad.
No, they're not too bad. You shouldn't have a hard time with these.